Hello everybody and welcome to the second episode of my Cakewalk by Bandlab series. I'm very happy that you liked, commented and subscribed to my channel since the last video, and obviously my first video. Keeps me motivated and keeps me going on. What I forgot to talk about in this first video was my person. I'm a German composer, mainly active in the movie trailer business, licensed library music world and video games. You can hear my music in hundreds of TV shows or TV spots, cinematic trailers all over the globe. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have unconsciously listened to my music in the last years. Yes, and I'm on Cakewalk and I love it. I've always been on Cakewalk. I get my work done. Yeah, let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into it. Today I want to talk about editing continuous MIDI controller data in the piano roll, as I mentioned, I guess 10 days ago in my first episode of this Cakewalk series that I started back then. Okay, for this I created a small music piece consisting of a string ensemble together with a piano. Please have a listen first. Okay, then let's hop on to the, let's say, first violin, mute all other tracks, and let's see what we do have here. As you can see, I'm working with CC11 expression and CC1, controlled by the modulation wheel. This is the standard controller that most of the sample library manufacturers are implementing to control the dynamics of their sustained samples. In this case, a legato violin 1. And I'm using additionally the CC11 to just have more control over the dynamics, to create smooth fade-ins, fade-outs, to just give this whole piece in the process of the piece more realism, more life, to just have it, to just let it perform a bit more convincing, to let it sound a bit more realistic. Yeah, okay. What do we want to do now? We want to edit continuous MIDI controller data. We could just create a smooth fade out of the last MIDI note. We could do this with CC1 or CC11. CC1 is not possible in this case because CC1 is already at 0 at the end of this note. So we just jump over to CC11. First of all, we could do this by drawing in a line by hand. Just do it manually. Very easy, very fast. You do have a lot of control over the shape of the line that you're drawing. But this is nothing I want to talk about today. And to be honest, I'm using this a lot, but today we're covering another topic. Let's just undo the last step and hop over to this left bottom area, to this here, the transform tool. Activate it with the left mouse button, then click the right mouse button. And there you do have 4 options: the soft mode, the mask mode, autofocus, monophonic. And please deactivate everything for now. So nothing is selected here. What this is, it's basically a rectangle that's drawn in the controller lane area, which is basically a selection of the velocity of the controller data that's inside of this rectangle. You could change the size of this rectangle by dragging the sides, the top, and the bottom. You could click on it with the right mouse button and just lift it over and change the location of it. Or you could just drag a new rectangle with the right mouse button, which I'm doing right now. Okay, I wanted to create a smooth fade out of this last MIDI note. Let's resize this rectangle so that everything is covered. And now just grab this right top handle and drag it to the bottom. And watch what happens. There you have a very smooth fade out. Let's listen to this. Okay, cool, isn't it? If you do not want to have the volume completely at 0, you could also just lift the bottom area to the top a bit and define a minimum value that that the values shouldn't be going lower than that. Oh no, I just resized the rectangle. I have to grab the handle. Yeah, now there you have it. And with this method, you could also kind of compress MIDI data, as you just see. Undoing this again. Now please watch the center area and this handle. You can only drag this to the left or to the right, and I guess it's very self-explanatory if you're just watching what I'm doing now. Yeah, this leads to a more or less exponential die out, ramp up, ramp down, fade out, fade in, however you want to call it. Negative exponential, positive exponential, something very handy. I guess a lot of you guys don't know about that. Very cool, very useful. Now let's hop over to some of these options down here. Right click on Transform tool, and first of all let's choose the autofocus. The autofocus basically selects automatically the MIDI data to the corresponding MIDI notes that you select in this upper area here. If I'm selecting this MIDI note, the corresponding MIDI data is selected automatically as well, as you can see here. You can also select multiple MIDI notes, and then everything beneath these MIDI notes that corresponds to them is selected in the lower area. Next option would be the Autofocus Monophonic. This relates to overlapping notes. In this case, I do have overlapping notes because this is a legato violin 1 patch, and the legato articulation is triggered by overlapping notes. To make it more obvious, I'm just lengthen this note. Lengthen, is this a proper English word? I don't know. I'm just making it longer. And now watch what happens if I'm selecting this in the Autofocus Monophonic mode. Only the MIDI data that is not overlapping here, that's not in the overlapping area, is selected. From the beginning until this new next note is starting, only this controller data is selected. Whereas in the normal autofocus, over the whole length of this MIDI note, every controller data is selected. Autofocus Monophonic, only the non-overlapping area. Next one would be, let's do the autofocus and hop over to the soft mode. Soft mode can be switched on in this menu here, but it can also be toggled with this small area here with this square with a dot in the middle. And you can identify the soft mode by the round edges of this rectangle. If these are round, the soft mode is activated. If you click this button to toggle it off, The edges are edgy, sharp. I don't know how to say this, but I guess sharp. Soft mode on. I guess this is the hard mode. Soft mode off. This is the hard mode. I click this toggle, soft mode on, off, on. Visually, there's something changing as well. If you toggle to the soft mode, it's these handles here, this and this. These are not present in the hard mode. There's nothing here, and you'll get the explanation during I'm showing you the function of this soft and hard mode. Let's stay with the hard mode to show you the difference between hard and soft mode. Okay, I just made this selection by random selection, and I'm dragging this to the bottom. See what happens. As the word hard mode would suggest, there is no smooth transition between the outer area of the transformers, the outer area of the controllers to the inner area. It's a very sudden change. I'm undoing this again and then switch to soft mode and then doing the same. And now watch what happens. Cool, very cool. There you have a very smooth transition from the outer area of the controllers to the inner area and back. Let's listen to this. Well, for this context, not very appropriate, but I guess you get the idea. I'm undoing it again and talk a bit about these handles here. And these handles are defining the width of this transition area. If you increase the width of these and then do the same again, the smoothness will be even smoother. Yeah, and if you narrow them down and do the same, you'll see that, oh, that maybe was a bit too narrow. Okay, and do the same. Then you can see that these are very steep, not very soft, not very smooth transition, but good to know. And all these handles relate to the soft mode. If you, let's say, you're doing a ramp down or ramp up, you'll have these transitions. Undoing it again and widening this, and then doing this ramp up again. Let's listen to this. Cool. Okay, let's undo all these steps. And let's go to the last mode, which is called the mask mode. The mask mode, not in the soft mode, in the hard mode. I'll switch to the hard mode and the mask mode. Basically affects the way how you draw the controllers by hand. With the mask mode on, you cannot draw any controller outside of this rectangle. As you can see here, I'm trying to draw something, nothing's happening. But as soon as I'm crossing the side of the rectangle, the drawing occurs. And as soon as I'm leaving it, it ends. I'm undoing this again. If you switch to soft mode, you'll see a slightly different behavior. Again, I'm trying to draw a line outside of this area, but as soon as I'm entering this transition area that I just defined by the handles, you see the algorithm starts to draw and tries to smooth this transition out. Just watch what happens if I'm crossing the side of the rectangle. It continues to draw, but only as long as I'm inside this transition area. Then it stops. Yes. Cool, isn't it? Yeah. Let's deactivate the transform tool. And I do have an additional tip for you about something that I'm stumbling across very regularly, because I'm drawing in controllers a lot by hand. Let's say I want to continue this ramp down to 0, and I want to do this by hand. It's always a pain in the ass to get the proper start to draw the line, because as soon as you, well, in this case not, as soon as you get close to this existing controllers, the mouse cursor is changing to everything but not to a pen, and it's, yeah, you have to be lucky to get the pen so that you can start drawing. But to avoid this, you could just press the F9 button on your keyboard and keep it pressed down. And this affects that, you can see this in the upper left area, that the drawing tool is activated as long as you press it down. If you release it again, the smart tool is activated again. Pressing the F9 tool activates the drawing tool, releasing it deactivates it. Okay, for now, F9 press down, and then you can start drawing wherever you want. There is the mouse cursor is not changing to anything but the pen. Very cool. Just release it, and then you do have again your smart tool. Okay, that's for now. How can we use this transform tool in real life situations? Well, let's unmute all these tracks and listen to this track again, and maybe we can identify a location where to change something in a meaningful way. Yeah, there is an emotional rise at bar 6, which could be prepared by a ramp up in bar 5. And I guess there's something similar in the second half of this piece. Yeah, here it is at bar 14 with the preparation for this rise in bar 14. Okay, let's hop right into it. Transform tool, deactivate the mask mode, activate the soft mode. Yeah, autofocus, I don't need it right now. I'll draw in my selection by hand, go to the modulation, controller lane, dragging this rectangle with my right mouse button to the area where I want to have it. And now just drag it to the top to have a bit more of a rise, and shift it to the left to prepare the rise in bar 5. And the selection keeps the same, stays the same when switching to different tracks. As you can see here, I'm switching between track 1 and 2, and the transform tool selection stays the same, which is very handy in this case. Okay. One downside of this tool is that you cannot apply this simultaneously to multiple tracks. As you can see, you have to do it by hand for every track. Could be on my next wish list for Cakewalk. I don't know. Okay, now let's have a listen again. Okay, let's go back to the first version without this change. I'm undoing the last steps. and again with the changes. At the end, it comes down to a matter of taste, which version you like more. But right now, it's more about the idea and about this feature of the transform tool. And let's do something similar in bar 14 and 15. Okay, let's deactivate the filter. Okay. Let's do the same here. Oh. And last but not least, the double bass. And now just let's have a listen. Here's the version from before. Now the edited version. Okay, folks, I hope this is of any benefit for you. I hope you liked what you hear, what you've seen or what you've heard. If so, please leave me a like or a comment, and I would really appreciate any subscription of you. I'll try to give you valuable content on a regular basis. Please take care, stay healthy, and see you next time. Bye-bye.